But this is the thing you got to remember. The West Coast, we are notorious for coming up with the W in all rap beefs. Game 50, he destroyed G Unit.
Yeah.
Right? Kendrick, right?
Bunch of old ass shit that people barely remember.
Yeah, barely remember.
But I mean, let's also be honest. The West Coast has been like consistently taking L's for many, many years.
Where?
In terms of like popularity in music compared to other states and markets.
What are you talking about? Drake's from Canada. He's been on top for the last 10 years.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, the West Coast owned hip hop in the 90s. And as the years have gone by, the West Coast has been unable to produce too many superstars.
We had a little slight gap, and then came Game 2004, 2005.
Right.
He brought the West back. We all can agree with that. Okay? In the process of Game, right, around 2009-ish, you had, it ain't gangster music, right? But we had the skinny jean movement, right?
The jerkin movement.
Which introduced YG, right? Teach Me How to Dougie, shit like that, right? And then came Kendrick, J-Rock, you know what I'm saying? Kendrick's a part of that J-Rock movement.
But let's be real, rest of the country not anywhere near as concerned with YG as they were
crazy
about
as a motherfucker.
Kendrick and Game, national superstars. YG, huge songs. But I don't think that they identify with YG the way they identify with the Game and Kendrick.
For one, YG, if I got to put together a team, is definitely on that starting team on the West Coast.
Who are we picking from on the team?
I don't give a who we picking from. You cannot take YG out of that lineup.
I'm not trying to take him out. I'm just saying putting him on the level of Kendrick and Game to me is a little disingenuous.
What I'm saying is he's right there in that. When Game is recording, he hits up YG. You understand what I'm saying? When Kendrick's recording, right? I'm pretty sure YG somewhere comes in, fucks with whatever they build or whatever it is. You can't take YG's style of rap, his fashion. Say what you want. I don't agree with everything he wears.
Why are you bringing this into this? We're talking about music. We're talking fashion.
We're talking about who's here. YG was part of the 2010 on up. Game was the 2005.
Or you're saying he was an innovator fashion-wise?
No, yeah.
Or was he just the person who was bringing what was already popping in the city to the forefront?
What YG wears, we didn't wear. He made cool. Let's just be real. He was in Neiman Marcus. Let's keep it 100, right? So what I'm saying is you're saying we was dead for quite some time. The South had the torch. It was always 3-4 dudes hot as a firecracker in the South. Let's not factor out Mustard. Let's not factor out Roddy Ricch. I don't know what the you talking about. We ain't never went nowhere.
Who's more culturally relevant, Draco or YG?
Who?
Over the last 10 years.
Draco or YG?
Draco or YG?
YG.
Who had the bigger impact?
YG.
I don't know about that.
What you mean? YG still on his run? Draco
on a mainstream level, in terms of like hits on the radio. Okay.
What are we talking about?
Influence in music.
YG.
Culture.
Draco was on his way. Nephew was on his way. Don't get it up. He was going to be a big deal.
He was already a big deal.
No, listen. He started doing songs with the Latin market. He had the thing with Drake. I think he did that wrong. I brought him a deal for $4 million. Let the machine get behind him. He chose to put it out himself, right? He did that, right?
The Draco and Drake record?
Yeah, before y'all even heard, I had a deal on the table for $1 million. He put it out himself, right? Wrong, bad decision. But what I'm saying is you cannot say that Draco was a bigger influence than YG because at the time of his demise, he was still chasing where YG had already been and gone.
I respectfully disagree. Draco, most influential rapper in the last 10 years of the West Coast, for sure.
Are you out of your goddamn mind? So what about, we factoring out the Roddy Ricches?
He's a very talented artist. I wouldn't consider him the biggest influence.
Huh?
I think sometimes you miss how incredibly pervasive Draco's influence was on the West Coast.
I love Draco. When everybody was against him, I'm one of the bloods he trusted that would come to my studio and go to sleep by himself.
Right, we know the story. Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm saying is you cannot sit here in front of the world and say Draco was a bigger influence than fucking YG, bro. That's crazy. Could Draco
we'll let
go
the
do a
comments
tour?
weigh in.
Can he do a U.S. tour?
But that is more of a measure of your like commercial popularity and less of a measure of your influence on other rappers who are coming from a similar street sort of background.
Draco didn't have the streets like YG got the streets.
I feel like you're a little out of touch.
What?
We can just leave it there.
I'm going to say this, and I mean no disrespect. If Draco had the streets the way YG had the streets, then it wouldn't have been a one-sided situation that night when that man lost his life.
Okay, but you're talking real life street shit and not music.
Streets.
He showed up to a festival with like a handful of people.
Listen, we're talking the streets and the influence. Right? When you got a situation that's happening, right?
Of course, Draco's street situation was clearly a lot less established than YG. That much is obvious. He was a rogue figure out here. He was a rebel warrior. If
he would have had the streets at that festival, the streets would have supported him. I'm looking at this shit happen, and I see people getting involved that didn't come with YG just because they like, we with YG. Right? If that was the case, it would have been a bunch of people who put a wall around Nephew. Let's just be real. So you can't say in no shape, form, or fashion at the time of Draco's demise, he was a bigger figure in any fucking way, musically, worldly, hit, influence than YG. You can't say that. That's crazy. Now,
I hear you.
Now,
I hear your opinion. I disagree, but.
Where? Numbers? Want to pull the numbers? Where are we talking?
We're definitely not talking numbers. We're talking influence on other rappers in terms of his style.
Style of rap. So you're saying he influenced other people to rap like him?
Yeah. Well, I'm not even taking away from like his own catalog and the size of his records and everything. Obviously, if we're talking about hit records, YG has done his thing. He deserves his respect in that regard, for sure.